Mi Mobris. ¿Dónde está mi Mobris? Hola a todos. ¿Te callas? Hola a todos, aquí Canal, bienvenidos una vez más a Arcadeux. Estamos una vez más con Mage.
Buenas, buenísimas.
Y hoy tenemos serie. Una serie de Mage.
De Stanley.
Un jueguito
Stanley me ha dicho.
que ha dicho la Mage que quería que jugase. Y yo, pues bueno. Es que todo nice. ¿Dónde vas? ¿Dónde vas, Blas? Como aquí en una ventana.
Me agrada. Toma un galleto.
El chat. ¿No te atreves tú con los 4? No se puede usted con los 4.
No me atrevo con los 3.
Tengo cara de gordo.
No me atrevo con los 3. Voy a comer uno y no sé si el segundo puede. Me agradas. Toma un galleto.
Un gallito de la Mage. Pues eso. Después de haber jugado Superliminal, este juguito me ha hecho Mechis, que es parecido. Así que lo vamos a probar. De momento tiene buena pinta. No. ¿Tú has jugado alguna vez? ¿Algún Stanley parable?
Solo hay uno.
¿Jugaste al Stanley parable alguna vez? Ya. Vale. YouTube luego siempre oscurece un poco los vídeos. Introduce la hora actual. ¿Estás jugando ya conmigo? ¿Qué? Con mi cerebro.
¿No tiene para ponerlo en la hora?
No, no lo sé. A ver. Pues Meridian, las 3 y 17. ¿17? ¿Seguro? ¿Ponemos 18 ya? Vamos a poner 17. Pues si juego otra hora será o algo.
¿Qué hora has puesto?
Las 3 y 17. Mira, estoy dentro de un juego, dentro de un juego, dentro de un juego, dentro de un juego, dentro de un juego.
¿Tú eres 9?
Sí.
Mira.
Utiliza lo mismo, sí. Vale.
Digo, ¿cómo juegan con mi cabeza? Tú eres esa clase de persona, ¿no?
¿A qué?
Que tú eres esa clase de persona.
¿Qué clase de persona?
La que siempre antes de empezar a jugar mira las opciones.
Es que quiero que el juego esté en triple, ultra, máxima calidad.
Me recuerdo a mi padre siempre. Mira, ya te lo he instalado. Y cuando lo voy a abrir. Pero antes mira las opciones. Y yo, ¿por qué?
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
¿Ya empieza?
En este juego no puedo jugar bien.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor at his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly
Lo
wrong.
dibujó con brocha gorda la pantalla
Frozen
negra,
solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
No, Stanley, no. Ese no es el protocolo.
Yo creo que tú tienes ya que mover la pantalla en plan y mirar al frente.
¿Pero por qué? Ah, perdón. Es que era el mando. Por eso giraba. Porque era el mando.
Yo tampoco sé muy bien, digo, Stanley que tiene la cabeza que tiene 360.
Era el mando que estaba estaba boca abajo. Entonces estaba tocando Ay, Dios mío. Vale, somos Stanley entonces. Madre mía, eso da un juego para muchas cosas, ¿eh?
Yo creo que tienes que ir andando simplemente. Aquí no es de investigar, ¿eh?
Es Hate Mondays.
Simplemente tienes que ir andando y el narrador te va diciendo.
Ah, es un juego,
All
es
of his
un walking
co-workers were
simulator.
gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Vale.
Stanley decide ir a la sala de reuniones. Si vas a otro sitio, te dirá, vaya, parece que estoy al final del tío 2.
Pero tú puedes decidir.
Sí, tiene varios finales.
Tiene
When
varios
Stanley
finales
came
esto.
to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Hostia.
Y tú decides si hacer caso al narrador.
Ah, vale, que yo sí. Mierda.
Por eso tiene varios finales.
Pues yo, por mí no le hago mucho caso.
Yet there was
Bueno, no
not
lo
a
sé.
single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Y esto no se puede.
Broom Closet, era el esto de las escombros.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to
¿Le
his
hacemos caso o
boss's
no le hacemos
office.
caso? Al juego.
Lo que tú veas.
No, lo que tú me digas.
A ver, yo le haría caso en las cosas que me interesen y en las que no. Por ejemplo, me parece lógico lo que está pasando ahora. En plan, no hay nadie. Es lo que sé que
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
2845.
Pero...
Que el narrador te ayuda.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the
Al azar.
keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Tía. Pero... Que no veía el suelo, entonces no sabía si me iba a caer por el ascensor o no.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Ok. ¿Qué significa? ¿Eso es algo? No, no.
En este juego nada, nada.
Stanley walked
No
straight
juega
ahead
nada.
through the large door that read
O sea, no
Mind
exploro,
Control
no-
Facility.
Pues ahí, por ejemplo, puedes intentar escapar si quieres. Él te ha dicho que siguió delante y se metió en el Mind Control Facility.
¿Y tú qué decides?
Yo aquí sí que escaparía.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Vamos a intentarlo, no sé si puedes morir. Vamos a descubrir.
¿Se puede morir en este juego? Usted sería muy hardcore,
The
¿eh?
door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Te está
At
avisando,
this
¿eh?
point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
What? Tiene buena pinta.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story. Trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
¿Y por qué no he muerto? ¿Pero por qué no he muerto?
Es que lo lógico de la gente normal, por lo menos al principio, hace cosas narrador, entonces no lo sé.
No puedo saltar, pero sí me puedo agachar.
Ah, ya está.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
Socorro.
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Y esto es lo que he hecho yo, o sea, hasta aquí he llegado. He ido por aquí, luego he ido por aquí. Ah, no, aquí he elegido la puerta de la izquierda y ya está. Sí, son maquetas, ya está. Vale, ¿y qué pasa? Que tampoco me quiero spoilear, ¿sabes?
Esto es otra parte del juego, otra final.
Ya, pero estos son cosas de la oficina que a lo mejor cuando lo repite me sale.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
¿Le doy?
Sí.
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another?
¿Se refiere al jugador y al juego?
Perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be
¿Qué pasa,
seen.
Sini?
But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game.
¿De verdad tengo que hacer
As
eso?
long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
¿Se ha matado? No entiendo nada.
Juego en Stanley, 5 minutos y mata al personaje.
Es como que...
Sí, lo has matado.
¿Lo he matado? ¿En serio?
Sí.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Vamos a hacer caso.
Stanley decided to go to the
Joder,
meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Te cara dice, no como antes. Ahora se hace caso. Vas a hacerte caso, ¿verdad? No
When
como antes.
Stanley came to a set of two
Izquierda,
open
derecha.
doors, he entered the door on his left.
¿Me hago caso a todo lo que me dice?
Vale.
Todo. ¿Vale, vale? O...
Es que este juego se juega una vez, no haciéndole caso, o sea, una vez haciéndole caso y otra vez no.
¿Cómo puedo matar a un personaje que no muere nunca?
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office Hoping he might coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety was lovely, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age music.
Muchas gracias. Me siento mejor, la verdad.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Gracias. Pero en speedrun, ¿qué será más rápido? ¿Hacerlo rápido y utilizar la música o esperar al narrador? Es que, claro.
Sí, me está mirando muy chulo.
Pues muy chunga, ¿eh? Ven aquí. Ven. Cuidado. Ven.
Está muy malito.
Así. Tiene que estar regular de la barriga.
Está vuelta a la barrigueta. Sigue mirando con la misma cara.
¿Ya? ¿Ya, guapa? Ah, para allá. Chispazo.
Ahora le haremos caso.
Ahora hacemos caso.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control
No sé inglés.
Facility.
Por descartes. No. ¿Qué te pones ahí?
Pues sí, ahora sí.
Oli. No me ha dicho que toque nada.
Un botón, ¿no?
Pero no me ha dicho que toque nada.
Lo usamos.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought.
Seguro
to
que lo
himself.
pensó.
Did he have the strength to find out?
Seguro. Mira, voy a poner esto aquí y esto aquí. Eso. Vale.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of
Bienvenida,
an
mi hermano.
employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
¿Cuál soy yo?
472, ¿era?
472, 473, algo así. Es 472. Sí, el del medio de la pantalla. ¿Y si lo doy otra vez? No. ¿No pasa? No.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true.
Escúchame, te han
Had
puesto una cámara y
Stanley
ya
really
está.
been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
La máquina les controla mentalmente. No que les controle lo que están haciendo.
Ya, pero
No.
control mental, ¿cómo?
He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Escúchame, después del trabajo tienes vida, supongo, ¿no?
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking,
Or content?
eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Vale.
La lucecita de verdad.
No me deja pulsar nada. Uy. No. Tampoco. Esto tampoco. Tendré que apagar algo de aquí. Ese de ahí. Puede ser. Un 5.
Sí, puede ser.
Un botón rojo. Siempre llama la atención. 5. ¿Tendré que pasar sin más? Okay.
Igual sí.
Se aseguró de que nadie más usara esto, pero claro.
Se asegura más adelante. A ver, ya está desconectado.
Sí, está offline. Ni idea. Me voy. Va y... Ay. Eso, gracias.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
On, off.
Off, ¿no? Le íbamos a apagar.
Hasta luego. ¿Qué pasa, gata? ¿Me pasa el juego ya?
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
Crédito, por favor.
Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go.
Dios.
No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped
pantalla, ¿no?
through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Anda, cosa.
Hmm.
Te sacan 2 finales en 10 minutos.
¿Ya está? Ya me... ¿Vale? Yo digo, bueno, cuando he dicho, tiene varias finales. 4, 2, 7. Digo, me saca.
All of
Me
his
sacaré
co-workers were gone.
uno de los
What could it
finales
mean?
y el otro, pues, lo
Stanley
veré
decided to go to the
por
meeting
YouTube
room.
o por donde
Perhaps he
sea.
had simply missed a memo.
Pero joder,
Aquí no vamos por otra puerta.
por la derecha.
Porque esta vez le hemos hecho caso a todo, ¿verdad?
Sí.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Nada, no voy a hacerle caso en nada, absolutamente en nada.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't 5 years ago.
Voy a morir.
Venga, sube.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Danger.
Está dentro.
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Sabes que no.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door. All right, fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing, because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what, let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
Sí, ahora sí quiero probarla.
Ahora sí la quieres probar, pero hemos dicho que no queremos hacer caso.
Bueno, pero sí, a ver si al final esto es jugar hasta que te canses de sacar finales.
Sí, metemos entonces por ahí.
Sí, hombre, está claro, ¿no? Ahí no vale.
Buah, te pica un montón la curiosidad, ¿eh?
Claro, sí.
Venga.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. Oh, of course. A 3. Really? Maybe next time we can get you to form an actual opinion, you know? Any level of critical thinking or engagement with your surroundings? Does that sound good? Think we can do that? Yes? Wonderful. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Eso es lo que me ha puesto. Y ya. Mira, hay cosas en el techo. ¿Volvemos?
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
¿Alguien habrá hecho 4 horas esto?
You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see. What do we have here? Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
Pierde al principio, ¿no? Hostia,
Ah, fascinating.
No.
What do you think this game is about, Stanley?
Sí, el
What's
de
our
los bomberos
backstory?
este.
What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from
Pues
up
porque
high
era
in
algo
your
así.
great tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose. Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
¿En serio? Pero esto en el original no existía este juego, ¿no? En el de Pablo Stanley, creo que este todavía no había existido.
No, allí no te dejan nada. Sí, solamente.
¿Podemos buscar a Pipo? ¿Te imaginas que la jugamos este juego?
No, it can't be.
¿Qué? ¿No puede ser qué?
It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off.
¡Eh!
Thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You really wandered off into that thing. That big, open, just wandering around. No right or wrong directions. No path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big,
Tarde por el portal
insurmountable
y ya está, y lo liamos. No puedes saltar, tío. Te puedo agachar pero no
I
saltar.
think this will be just the thing.
¿Rocket League?
Wonderful. See, this is exactly what I had in mind. Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed. Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun.
Deporte pelota.
We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together? Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
Ah, no hay nada, ¿no? Ih, casi salgo. Que ahora me muevo más rápido.
Corre, revienta la pelota.
¿A la roja o al azul?
Azul. Revienta las cabezas.
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little story that I worked so hard on? Stanley, I have a thought. And I realize I'm not a sportsologist, but if one ball generates a certain amount of raw adrenal
Verdad no, eh?
pleasure, then surely multiple balls makes for an even more euphoric sports experience. I'm going to try it out. Here comes another ball.
Si me diera más entretenimiento.
Yes. Oh goodness, that really does feel amazing, doesn't it?
Este juego
Stanley,
no
I'm
estaría
like a
jugando
child in a
Stanley. Estaría
confectionery
jugando
shop. I
a
simply
Rocket League.
have to have more. I'm insatiable. More balls.
¿Qué dices, loco?
Las dos para
Toma. ¡Que no te salgas! ¡No! ¡Soy malísimo!
Are you enjoying this, Stanley? Are you having fun? Is this a real video game? Well, I sure hope you're having a good time, because guess what? It's over.
No.
That's right. Your little fun comes to an end.
Váyate a las
This
pelotas.
is my game, and what I say goes. You get to have fun when I let you, Stanley. Besides, you need someone like me to set boundaries for you. Without rules or boundaries, video games are nothing. Yes, that's what I am. I'm structure. I'm your sense of purpose. And since you decided you didn't want to play my game, now I don't want to play with you either. So, goodbye, Stanley. I'm leaving. See how
De hecho lo pone en el fondo, Arcadeux. ¿Serán los mismos creadores? Sí, no,
I
supongo.
don't think you'll enjoy it as much, but who knows? You're an inventive kid. You'll come up with something. After all, you're the one who knows best. Take care, Stanley.
Toma, pero ¿y qué?
¿Te has dicho que seas creativo? Intenta tú meterte por donde se ha metido el balón.
Pero, o sea, partiendo con que ahora del juego real, que yo estoy dentro y me quiero escapar y... ¿Cómo?
Vale.
Hold on. What are you doing?
Voy a salir del principio. Ok. ¿Beta?
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
Está enfadado porque estamos siguiendo sin él, Rikichuchi.
Es terrible, ¿eh? Toma, ¿y dónde voy? ¿Me tiro?
Es que no hay forma de hacer algo porque es que hay tantas decisiones que puedes tomar diferentes, todo un rato.
¡Ah! Me caí. Seguro que se puede... Que alguien ha hecho todos los finales.
Sí, hay un vídeo que se llama Todos los finales en YouTube.
Hostia.
Pero claro, yo pensaba que era en plan... Rollo, vale, pues ahora he cogido la roja, luego cojo la azul, pero es que son infinitas
¿Y
decisiones.
cuánto se tira para hacer eso?
No lo leí.
Aquí sigue sin seguirme.
Claro, ya no hay... Eres tú creativo. Hasta que se le hincha el huevo y otra vez te va.
Ya ves, hasta que me vuelva a decir, oye, escúchame.
No.
Que al final
Es
sí,
un
¿vale?
juego. Yo he visto que eres creativo, vale.
Lo malo para YouTube es que esto es demasiado oscuro para él. YouTube siempre oscurece los... Bueno, siempre oscurece los vídeos. Hay luz.
Mira, luz. Esto es lo mismo de antes. Son las mismas habitaciones. De hecho, las dos puertas, la de la derecha, lo único que está como...
425, sí, es como la beta.
Como más viejo.
Mira, 427 me voy a mi punto y me voy a trabajar, bye.
Vale.
No puedo hacer nada. ¿Un screen? No, ¿qué? ¿Algo? Yo que sé, que me asuste. Ah,
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice. And if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way.
No.
Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
¿loading? Loading. Then is never. No, it's never then. Bueno, aquí estamos.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
No,
De la derecha, mierda, perdón.
solamente llevamos 3 finales.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
La izquierda me
Feeling
la
a
puerta.
wave
Es
of
complicado, ¿eh?
disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy.
¿Y ya está?
All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Sí.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Ya no juego más.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
¿Qué? Te va a dar la pinza.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work.
Coño.
But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, For just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Está el juego un poquito...
Dejando 20 minutos y ya lo hemos matado 2 veces.
Está un poquito regular, ¿eh? Bueno, se ha muerto 2 veces, se ha escapado una.
Entonces sale derecha azul, ¿no?
¿Eh?
Good morning. Thank you for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation. We are confirming your shipment of 1,327.
No me cuentes tu mierda. Pues no narra nadie, no habla nadie.
El teléfono.
Ya, pero ¿te has dado cuenta de que no hay ningún narrador?
Understood. Your order will be canceled immediately. Thank you again for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation.
Ah. Vale. ¿Me dejan que cojo este? ¿Es porque has dicho que tú tienes el control de tu vida, que la voz en la cabeza no existía y cosas de esas y por eso ahora no te habla?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Tía, ¿por aquí?
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the
La de
opposite door,
mantenimiento antes no
and
estaba
got
abierta,
back
¿no?
on track.
La verdad que no me acuerdo.
¿Qué has dicho tú? Mira, ese es el...
No, a ver, yo le he quitado el corte de las escobas.
Claro.
Bueno, sí, creo que era eso, sí.
¿Por aquí o por ahí?
Hostia, no lo sé. Hay que ir probando.
Eso es peligroso.
Sí, por ahí antes se me ha muerto.
¿Estamos otra vez en el mismo lado?
Sí, pero hemos abierto.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer
¿No
there.
sabes de lo del boss?
Sí.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his
Lo mismo,
boss's
¿no? Bueno,
office.
Allá, ¿no? Bajar antes.
Sí.
Hemos muerto, ¿no?
Pero es que arriba está el escaparte o,
Puedes no pagar la máquina.
o el morir.
No, puedes escaparte y no pagar la
Es
máquina.
verdad, verdad.
Es que abajo, ¿qué queda? Abajo, que se te rebota.
¿Te rebota?
En plan, ¿quieres tú seguir otra vez?
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Kill surprise.
Él también ve estar haciendo cambiando
Sí. Está bueno.
Oh, mira, ahora pulsa un botón. Vale, pero vale, está luego.
Está guay. A pesar de que tienes que repetir muchas cosas, se te hace bastante ameno.
Sí. Pero...
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
ok. Pero mola porque no lo repites tal cual.
Claro, por eso.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals
Mauricio,
reduced
sus
to
mal directo, muy
images on a
buenas.
screen, and Stanley,
El narrador habla como Jeremy
eternally
Clarkson de
monitored
Top
this
Gear,
place
¿sí?
where freedom meant nothing.
Bueno, en cierto... En la entonación sí.
Pero no sé.
Pero no creo que sea el mismo, ¿no? La entonación sí. El doblaje, vaya. El doblaje al español de Jeremy.
Facility. It was too horrible to believe. It
Bueno.
couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time?
Puede
Was
ser.
this the only reason he was happy with his boring job?
Puede ser
That his
que sea el
emotions
mismo.
had been manipulated
O sea,
to
no lo-
accept it blindly?
Que claro, es que la entonación y todo es igual.
No.
Y
He
no habla así.
refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it.
Ahora que
His
no
own
sabe.
life in someone else's
Es verdad.
control? Never. It
No,
was
ahora no puedo
unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he
Saltaba cuando
truly
estaba encima de una
spent his
plataforma.
entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls
Dicen que apague la
labeled
máquina,
with
pero lo
emotions.
interesante.
Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm
Yo lo he
afraid you
conseguido.
don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode,
Perfecto.
eliminating the entire complex.
Le voy a matar 3 veces
Well,
ya.
until detonation then, let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one
No
of
sé
them
lo que me
is.
está diciendo.
More time to talk about you, about me. Where we're
Cabrón.
going. All this means I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell
Tengo que
you
pulsar los
exactly
números en
what
orden.
happened.
No me digas.
I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit
No sé
there
dónde
in your
está.
office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even
4
better.
está arriba, pero el
My
5 no lo
goodness,
sé.
only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen,
pulsado todo.
clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is?
Ah, muy bien.
Stanley, You're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever after.
¿Ya? Sí. Se acaba el tiempo ahí.
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were. Just a matter of time.
Ya se la pela todo al narrador. Pronto encontraría... nuevo contenido.
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers.
El original, hace 10 años.
After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Pero estaba mirando con la edición de luz para consolas, tal, estaba
Sí.
viendo todas sus
La verdad que sí.
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
Hola.
Oh,
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready.
Nuevo
Let's
contenido.
do it.
ya he visto de que salió.
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if the...
No.
Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the
Ah, lo
content,
vente.
Stanley.
O sea, estoy intentando en mi cabeza capitular, ¿sabes? Todo lo
All right.
Hmm.
All right, let's see. It's the jump
Ah,
circle.
vas a saltar. Como no saltaba el juego.
Nuevo contenido, círculo de salto, tío.
Como no lo has dicho, mira, te puedes agachar pero no te puedes saltar.
Claro, lo he dicho antes. Digo, no puedes saltar, pero te puedes agachar. ¿Y esto se puede jugar con mando y es más fácil? Ay, Dios, gracias.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
Yo no puedo saltar más.
Hostia.
No puedo saltar más. Era divertido saltar. Gracias por el nuevo contenido. O sea, literalmente han tenido que pasar 10 años, ¿no? Para ese nuevo contenido.
Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And if... Oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is. That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
La puerta azul. La puerta roja, ¿verdad?
Venga, la puerta roja. Esto ya no, ¿eh? Tía.
Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
Pero la Pequita me ha dicho que vaya a la puerta roja. Luego voy. Luego voy. Voy a la puerta roja.
You don't want to see the cool surprise I made for you? Well, fine. You're a dork.
Perdona, te reviento,
Luego esto lo vamos a hacer iniciando el juego, ¿no?
Y el nuevo contenido ya no se puede entrar. Supongo que ya lo has completado, ¿no?
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Es verdad, ya no me tenía que
Stanley
tirar.
was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley.
Por aquí no es porque esto no lo hemos hecho nunca.
Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
De verdad, de repente estoy en mi almacén. Yeah. ¿De qué Isa la hay?
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do.
Tío, departamento 427.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
Pensaba que eran las 4, ¿sabes?
Hostia.
Y ya me parecía tarde. En plan, guay, ya pasó una hora.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
¿Qué? ¿Por qué me mando? ¿Y si muevo esto? ¿Y si muevo esto?
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Estoy haciendo su trabajo, literalmente. Estoy oprimiendo teclas.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen his life. But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought...
O sea, en verdad es que está solo en el apartamento.
So, he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy. And so in his head, he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
¿Pulso la A? No. Ni la B, ni la I, ni nada. No. Yo creo que lo tienes que pulsar, sí o sí.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
I
suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him.
Es terrible, soy para pegarnos un tirito todos.
Perhaps, well, maybe this time you'll see. Maybe this time.
¿Quieres jugar para o te va a entrar una embolia?
And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button.
¡Muere, por favor!
Pero
bueno.
And Stanley pushed a button.
Me llegas a dar el mando y lo primero que se ve en la pantalla es muere, por favor.
De hecho, ¿quieres jugar? Muere, por favor. Vas a hacer el último. Y ahora si podemos nos metemos por aquí, ¿no? ¡Toma!
Stanley,
Que esto a lo mejor va a ser un poquito
come
largo.
over here. In the
A ver, luego
vent.
si no está la
I
serie,
want to
pues,
show you
va-
something.
Dentro de un canal.
Perfecto. ¿Va a haber un directo mío?
Lo veía siempre cuando jugabas a...
Cierto.
¿A cuál era?
No me acuerdo.
Okay,
Pero
you
sí,
remember
sí,
how
claro.
cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a
Esta es la
look.
verdadera expansión del juego.
I call it the Memory Zone.
Mamma mia.
It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap
Mozilla, eh?
re-release? Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something.
Total.
Oh, the
Estos son todos los
waste.
premios que... ¡Anda!
A ver, fue súper premiado el juego en su momento.
Golden Awards. Ya, pero en este está falsificado. La mejor historia. No se la llevó. Está guapa la caja. Típica armatoste hace 30 años de un juego, pero está guapa. Cómo mola. Ya ves, 2000, es que han pasado 10 años. Mira, este es el despertador que utilizábamos ayer en Superliminal. Ese es él. Perrete. Está guay, está guay.
Estaban de último.
Tu primer dólar que ganas. La demo. Los logros, ¿no?
Sí.
¿Cómo? Eso es imposible, ¿no? Historia. Innovación y... Juego indie. Debutante, indie. No sé qué significa debutante. Hostia, ya ves.
Cuando estuve.
¿Cuándo qué?
Cuando estuve.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and
En verdad, te
all-encompassing
hacen
the
simular que el juego
original
tiene una
Stanley
inteligencia
Parable
artificial.
was. It was literally every
O sea, no
game
solamente que
ever created.
es
It
un
was
gui-
Skyrim,
un
it
guión
was
del juego,
Persona
sino
3,
que
it was
de
all
verdad
of
se
them.
está,
And now,
tú estás
it's
haciendo algo y
nothing.
él te está contestando
It's no
con
games at all. It isn't even the
con lo que
Stanley
tú haces.
Parable
Entonces
anymore.
como que
It's
piensa
just a
por sí mismo.
husk now. A
También yo
lifeless
me decía
husk
con
with an hour of
También.
new elevator
Esto hace 10
content.
años era... ¡Wow!
que no había juego, tanto juego.
Voy a hacer esto. Porque me lo está diciendo. Pero si no lo hago también, me habla también. Y me dice que ¿por qué no lo he hecho? Y...
Bueno,
ves.
esto es un poquito de publicidad del juego, ya ves.
La verdad que sí, son un poco de... Voy a ponerme unos cuantos galardones y... venga. Unas medallitas.
Vamos a avanzar más rapidito. ¿Y
Elige.
ya está? ¿Esto era todo?
¿Puedo? ¿The Original Remake? Vale.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone. To spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
No sacar el juego. ¿Cómo van a sacar nuevo contenido si no han sacado el juego?
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before.
Sí, claro.
What's this? What's down here? Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
Oh.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Supongo que las verdes eran buenas, ¿no? Y las rojas son malas. Diseños.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy.
Hay veces que no para.
Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Dear, what an awful memory to have to hold on to.
Todo forma parte de la vida, las cosas buenas y las cosas malas.
Track record. I feel like a failure.
Vaya.
Like I let these people down.
Te pasa como Stanley, más o menos.
The Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered. What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button.
Whoa.
A skip button. Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Gracias.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you with just the push of a button. Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, Well, there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right. Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable, but... Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer. And my God, there's no way out of the room. Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right?
Es que no aprende, tío.
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only...
¿Ya no existe?
El unpacking fue el que me veía tu bicho.
Ah, el unpacking. Pero unpacking, tú lo jugaste antes que yo.
El unpackito, ya, pero me gustaba que ver tus comentarios.
Le di otra vez y nos matamos ya para siempre.
Sí, y ya no voy. Ay, mira, Guppy. Se han despertado los dos.
A lo mejor voy al pasado, yo qué sé. Al futuro. ¿Qué coño suena, tío?
Estás alejando.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic...
Está siendo más largo esto de lo que yo pensaba, ¿eh?
The end is never the end, is never the end, is never the end.
Solo que pone con el loading.
The end is never the end, 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 is never...
Está ya mamadísimo el narrador. Claro, estamos adelantando tanto el tiempo que al final esto ya no existe. No he visto si la puerta está abierta en algún momento.
No,
Ah, que no hay puerta.
no,
Ah,
es
qué
una
bien.
habitación. Chicos, no te busques.
Bonito. De los sofás.
Eso iba a decir, ¿no?
Vaya como un tel que el botón no funciona. ¿Qué? Porque ya no hay vegetación otra vez.
Como diferente, eso es todo.
Parece una guerra, ¿no? ¡Es zombies! No se quedan los gatos, ¿eh? ¡Oh, no! ¡Dios mío! Me han quitado la palanquita. El botón. Botón, por favor. Oh, Dios mío, hay luz. Muy bien. Luz y absolutamente nada. No sé dónde quieren que vaya, pero ok. Voy. ¿Qué pasa, gato? ¿Ya o un poco más? Es que no sé qué quieren que haga. Al infinito, ¿no? Ya está. Yo creo que está bien. Yo creo que está bien. Ni voy a contestar siquiera. Fuck. What the fuck. No, por favor, no. Vamos a dejar este directo por aquí.
¿Qué ha pasado?
Ha aparecido eso. ¿Va a ser el último capítulo o quieres más? Yo creo que con el que hemos tenido yo creo que es suficiente. ¿No? ¿O qué? ¿O quieres más? ¿Quieres otro? ¿Dará para otro? No se sabe. Yo creo que dará para otro. El caso es, ¿te va a resultar divertido mañana? Pues eso. Miramos nosotros el resto fuera de cámara porque... A ver, sé que no existe, pero tiene pinta de ser infinito. O sea... Y de echarle mucho tiempo. ¿Es entretenido un poco? Al principio sí. ¿Puedes jugar media hora? Sí, puedes jugar media hora. ¿Es divertido de ver? Puede que no. Puede que el que lo esté viendo no sea tan divertido como el que lo está jugando. Así que nada, tengo un día para pensarlo. Si mañana veis que no... O simplemente no hay más capítulos de este juego, es porque se ha deshecho la idea. Así que nada, chicos, muchas gracias a todos por comentar. Ya sabéis que hacéis estos directos más o menos. Si os ha gustado el capítulo de hoy, dale a like. Y si no te quieres perder más de este juego o no, pues suscribíos al canal, ¿de acuerdo? Nos vemos muy prontito. Un saludo.
Y hasta luego.
Bye bye. No se sabe. A lo mejor sí. Estamos mañana con este juego. A lo mejor no. Who knows. Depende si de lo que veo yo fuera de cámara me convence. Un poquito al menos.